Hey everybody, it's Soaping Sunday, and today we are going to talk about all the soap that I have made that I could potentially sell, as well as all the soap that I will not be selling because of imperfections, or I did it as an experiment and it's not the recipe that I intend to use moving forward. So there's a lot of that. I've also given away a lot of soap to friends and family to have them try it out. So let's take a look at what I have to work with as far as what I could potentially sell. I'm doing an inventory of what I have the potential of either putting online or doing a farmer's market or trying to sell locally, because I'm getting to the point where that is my next step. I'm getting low on supplies, I have a lot of soap, and honestly I really should sell the cured soap before I make more soap. So let me show you what I got. So all of the soap that I have, as I make the soap, I place them into baskets with parchment paper, or I'll use these disposable aluminum trays with parchment paper so that the soap isn't touching the aluminum. And each one is labeled. So it's labeled with the date that I created it, the essential oils that I use for scent, as well as any additional ingredients I've added apart from the original recipe I used. So this one has salt in it, and that way I can note it on the label. So I give it a name as well and a number. So the number correlates with the Soaping Sunday video number so that I can reference when this was created. So in episode 9, I created this soap using the acrylic mold. And it was the second time I used the acrylic mold. The first time I used the acrylic mold didn't go good. The soap did not come out nice. Second time we had success. So I'm looking forward to selling these as soap bars that have beautiful embeds on the front as well as prints on the back. However, these do not have any embeds in the middle. There's no surprise goats in the middle of this one. Whereas right here, if you look at the label, the goat embed soap from episode 15 of Soaping Sunday, I added salt and I did a lavender and cedarwood oil essential oil blend. And these came out beautifully. They have not only embeds on the top, but they have embeds of little goats inside, as well as prints on the back. So those came out beautiful. I'd like to sell those. And then I've made lots of sunflowers, and so those are all labeled as sunflower soaps, the date that I made them, episode 17, and the scents that come with it. Over here I do have some embeds that I've made that I will be adding to a future soap, but I wanted to keep them with the batch that they were made with so that I would have the date and episode number with it. And then I have more soap over here that also has a surprise goat on the inside and the date and the oils inside. So while I don't have a lot of soap with surprise goats, I have enough to get started with trying to sell them. And then these are the sample bars that I just made in episode 18, where they're just a round shape, very simple soap with the lavender and cedarwood oil, essential oils. Just a nice try out the soap small sample. And I have more of that over here. So overall, I do have a fair amount of soap to get started with selling. So now I have to decide, how do I want to go about selling these? Do I want to just sell locally out of my house? Do I want to try to do a farmer's market or do a craft fair? Or do I just want to go online and sell online and mail the soap out, because how I decide to sell the soap determines how I'm going to package it and what I need to do moving forward. So I was thinking to get started that I could do a craft show and get an idea from customers directly, feedback as to what they think of the soap, as far as how it looks and smells, and maybe get some feedback that way. However, I did apply to a local craft show, and unfortunately they were full up on soap vendors, and I have not been able to find another craft show that has vendor space. I'm looking this late into the season when things are already booked for the late summer, early fall. It's something that a lot of people that want to do these shows are booking almost a year in advance. So while that's something I think I'd like to do maybe in the spring or summer, I think I'm gonna have to hold off on that route for now. But it's not completely out of the realm. I am still looking for potential vendor openings at craft shows or a farmer's market or something that comes available. You never know. I have been moving in that direction. I'll show you some things I got. I purchased this used bookcase from a young girl who was looking to change up her room, and so she sold this to me, and I thought it would be really nice to paint this and to use this as a display for my soap at like a craft fair, where I could put my soap on each shelf. Since the name of my farm is Just One More Story Farm, I'd like it to look like a little bookshelf for my soaps. So it does have some coloring and some stickers on it, but just needs a good cleanup and a nice paint job, and I think it would be really beautiful to be on top of a display table and full of soap. And then for outdoor craft shows, typically a tent is used. So my parents got me this big yellow 10 by 10 pop-up tent that I could use at a craft show, which I'm really excited about because that was one of the things on my list that I wanted to have if I got accepted into the craft show that I applied for. So I'll be saving this for if I get into any craft shows or a farmer's market. But that's not a guaranteed thing, so I think the next step is going to be trying to get my soap for sale. So I'm thinking online is going to be the way to go. So for selling soap, from the research I've done, a lot of people sell their soap on Etsy, some people sell on Shopify, and then others sell on their own website. I already have my own farm website, justonemorestoryfarm.com. And that website does have the capability of being able to sell products through my business's website. So I am thinking I might sell directly through my website. However, there are benefits to selling on, say, Etsy or Shopify because of how many people go to those websites looking for soap. So there's pros and cons with each of those because there are fees involved with Etsy or Shopify that you can avoid with selling through your own website. So I'm going to be weighing those out. I will absolutely let you know my decision once I make it. But I just wanted you to know that's something that I've been researching and figuring out how I'm going to go about that. But most of this soap is fully cured. The ones that I just recently made, like these little samples, these need 3 more weeks to cure. I personally like them to cure for at least 4 weeks. 6 weeks is even better. I did an experiment with my soap where I was weighing it every other day and continued to weigh it for months because I wanted to see how much water weight my soap recipe loses over the course of several months, because that helps you to determine cure time. Once your soap is saponified and has formed soap, it is safe to use if you've made it correctly. but it's going to be really soft, really mushy. If you give it time to air dry and for the water inside of it to evaporate, then it becomes a harder bar of soap, which makes it more long lasting. So that is the goal of allowing it to cure, which these soaps that I made in July and August, they're good to go. This soap that I made in September, not ready yet, but it'll get there. Might even get there before I get all of this up online. But let me show you the soap that I've been measuring just to give you an idea of time frame and how much water loss we're looking at. All right, so this lavender plain bar of soap I made in May, and I have been weighing it out since then so I can see how much water weight it has lost. I've been using this little kitchen scale and keeping track of it in my notebook. So I'm gonna get some weights and I'll let you know the difference in weight since May. And they are 3 different sizes. So I'm gonna start with the smallest size, the 3/4 inch. And this was so I could get an idea based on what size soap I end up doing, what the cure time is gonna be. It is at 83 grams. And that's down from 90 grams. So over 4 months, it has lost 7 grams of water weight. The 1-inch bar, it's now at 129 grams. It started at 138 grams, so it has lost 9 grams over the course of 4 months. And then the last one, the 1-inch, the 1 1/4 inch bar, it's at 161 grams. Started at 171 grams, so it lost a total of 10 grams in 4 months. So the largest size lost the most water weight, and the smallest size lost the least amount of water weight in comparison, but 4 months later it has continued to lose water weight. So the longer it cures, the more water weight it loses. So far it hasn't gotten to a point where it just stopped losing water weight. It has just continued to lose water weight. But by 4 weeks in, this bar of soap had lost 5 out of the 7 grams. So by 4 weeks, the majority of the water weight had been lost. With the 1-inch size, 6 out of the 9 grams had been lost. So not quite as much with the larger size. With the 1-inch, I saw the biggest drop by 7 weeks, which was 8 grams out of the 9 grams that it would lose. So that's a longer cure time than you would typically give. Now with the largest bar, the 1 1/4 inch, by 4 weeks it lost 6 grams out of the 10 grams. So let's look at 6 weeks. By 6 weeks it had lost 8 out of the 10 grams, which is better. And then 9 weeks it had lost 9 out of the 10 grams. So by 7 weeks it had lost 8 out of the 10 grams. So ideally the larger bar, you should give a longer cure time if you want to get it to a much lower water weight. So I found that experiment pretty interesting. So that's something I'll keep in mind as far as which soaps to sell first based off of cure time. And once those sell, then I'll put more online and sell the next batch as they reach an acceptable cure time. Now let's take a closer look at some of the experiments that I did and soaps gone wrong, which those will not be for sale. Those I've been using for personal use, which is great to have a whole bunch of soap that may not be as aesthetically pleasing as what I'm selling, but it's still the same ingredients, the same awesome scent, and the same beautiful lather, so I love it. So I have a whole basket of all like extra bits and pieces, just a lot of extra soaps that I didn't end up using, like end slabs or just extra leftover soap that I just threw in a whole bunch of colors that is not something I would sell. And then sunflower soaps gone wrong, where I had a lot of leaking. And the cocoa powder soap batter came oozing out, and it just doesn't aesthetically look as pretty. And then the experiment in episode 3 where I made all these natural colors by using natural ingredients to turn my soap different colors. I played around with different types of clay, like red Brazilian clay, pink Brazilian clay, some household items like ginger powder, tapioca powder, just to get different colors. Here's matcha. These are also from episode 3, all different natural colors. So we had quite a bit of natural colors that we tested. And then I have a bunch of embeds that unfortunately broke or didn't come out looking nice. I have a soap with no legs, butterflies where the cocoa powder batter leaked. I've got sunflowers where the cocoa batter leaked as well. Not the prettiest. The white soap I will be using for future embeds to make white spots on my little goat embeds. I do have some embeds that I haven't cut out yet that I can potentially use if needed in future soaps. Those are kind of waiting, but I'm not going to sell them just as is, so those will be added to a future bar of soap. Now over here I have some experiments. These were some experiments with blue spirulina. I was trying to go for like a blue sunflower. It was a fail, it didn't work. But I did get some different shades for sunflowers. But I won't be selling these, they'll just be personal use. Oh, knees, this broke my heart. So back in June when I got my beautiful acrylic mold and I made these for the first time, I was so excited, making my own designs by hand and putting in embeds, but stuck in the mold and just came out very choppy. The weight of the soap caused a lot of bleeding of the design and just got too thick. So none of those bars came out nice enough. And that's all the soap that I've got. So moving forward, I'm going to start making decisions as far as packaging, how to package these for online sales, working on getting my website ready for online sales, and insurance. When it comes to selling soap, the research I've done has said get insurance as far as selling a soap product. So I'm also looking into that. I will be sure to share all these decisions once they're made with you. And I'm excited to see how this all goes. It's a new adventure and I've had fun making all the soap, so I'm really looking forward to others getting to enjoy the soap as well and getting honest feedback as to what you all think of my soap. Oh, and prices. Pricing out the soap. I've been doing so much research on that as well because there's such a range as far as how much homemade artesian soap costs and the factors that go into it and figuring out how much each product you use put into it costs and all the labor involved and everything like that. So I am going to put some costs together and figure out how much I need to charge for these bars of soap to cover the cost to make them. And so that I will also share with you how I break down the cost analysis of all of this to come up with a cost for each different type of bar, because the small sample bars cost me less to make, takes less time, versus the sunflowers, which take a little bit more time and take a little bit more product, versus the most expensive one, which is the soaps that have embeds on the top, a surprise goat in the middle, and the prints on the back. Those are way more time consuming, more products go into it, so those will be the more expensive of the 3. So I will have to come up with 3 different costs for the 3 different types of soaps that I have. So I'll be doing that soon as well. So I hope you'll check back to see those future videos. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and if you haven't started soaping yet, what are you waiting for? Get your soap on.
1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want to farm a wicked awesome farm? Watch this channel to learn what to do. We love to farm and we'll show you. Yeah, welcome to our show.